Continuing on with the communication process, we'll look at the audience and the situation in this upcoming chapter. So a term we need to be familiar with is audience-centeredness. And that's basically just keeping your audience in mind at all times from your topic selection all the way through. So when you think about your topic, your next question should be, how can I relate it to the audience? Or what value will the audience get out of me teaching them about this topic? This needs to be in the forefront of your mind at all times, keeping that audience in mind. We live in such a me society that a lot of people just don't listen to other people unless there's of value, something of value. What will I get out of it? So to remind the audience what they will get out of it, or to keep them in mind through the process, will help this idea. So a couple questions to ask yourself. With whom am I speaking? What do I want them to know or believe or do? And some of this will come in when we are going through the different speeches, the informative, the persuasive. You'll ask yourself these questions. And then you'll also ask yourself and also figure out what's the most effective way of accomplishing that. So some psychological things that you need to know about your audience. These are things that just are from the beginning of our time. This might be from birth, from our family, from religion. So what do we like, our attitude? What do we dislike? What do we find are right and wrong, our values? What we believe is true or false? These will all be different from everyone because we all come from a different frame of reference. So they will all be different. You need to know how your audience feels, possibly about your topic, before you continue on. Some demographical information that you should know: gender, possible disabilities, income, occupation, education level, household type, sexual orientation, and age. These will just help you become a better speaker to your audience. Now, you may not always know this, and it may not always be visible and or given. So we always do need to watch and be aware of stereotypes. So just not accepting those stereotypes, not continuing on with them, and getting to know the individual for whom they are. There's also some social traits that we should be aware of. And some of these are by choice, and then some of them are from birth. And I want to talk about both of these. Choice, our group associations. So maybe the religious order we belong to, maybe this class, maybe your degree, where you choose to live, and the community that you belong to. And then we have others that are from birth, and that goes with race, ethnicity, and culture. So these things we cannot change. Unfortunately, in society, some of these are held against us. And again, we want to be aware of that stereotyping, that we are speaking to all of our audience members. This brings us to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And you've probably heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs or seen it elsewhere: psychology, sociology, business, absolutely, advertising, which I used to be in, persuasion. So what we want to do is we want to appeal to a person's most basic needs, those physiological needs. And when we make appeals, it's more or less when those basic needs are taken away. And that's when people start to create emotion, start to create change. But we need to understand that we all need these most basic needs to survive. And then we work up And, you know, a lot of us are at that self-actualization, that self-fulfillment, the likes on Facebook or Instagram. I mean, we have Instagram models now. So that self-fulfillment is very high, but yet we cannot fulfill that if we don't have our basic needs of food and water. So we want to get to that most basic level of human life when we make appeals and understand that we all come from that same cloth. This leads us to how you get information about your audience. First of all, you can do some surveys. You're probably familiar with those. Those are very easy, close-ended questions. And close-ended, I mean yes or no. One-word answer questions. And you get information from there, not a lot of personal information, but you get quick, easy information. And if you're going to do this, there's a couple of examples. You could use a fixed alternative or a scale. SurveyMonkey is great for this. There's some examples in the book, and I will get into a little bit more detail in the upcoming chapters. You could use interviews, whether in person or digital, and those are going to be more of your open-ended questions where your individual may need to explain something. If you think about this in a job interview, most employers will not ask you a general yes or no response answer because it's typically already on, say, your application. Did you graduate high school? Yes or no. So you mark that. Now, what they may ask you, though, is, tell me about your last employer. What were the highlights of your previous job? What did you enjoy about your job? What are some of your personality highlights? These are examples of open-ended questions, and you'll see where people will sort of spill the beans, if you want to say. Some people will tell you too much information. Other people you may need to ask some follow-up questions or pry a little bit more. And then, of course, you can always do research, whether it's online or through asking other people, but you can find that. Now, with all of this, you know, if you do not get this information from within, you'll need to cite where you got this information as well. I want to end here with the speaking situation. And basically, the situation is your time and place. And we can look at this. So a few things, if you are in an audience situation and you're, say, handing something out, you would need to know how many people. For us, we are going to be speaking online. You will be recording your speech. You will be uploading it into GoReact, which is an outside platform that is then on D2L, compatible with D2L. And we will be able to go there and find our speech to review it. We'll be able to review other students as well. So the when and how long, for us, that will be given. You will know your due dates. You'll know the time restraints of your speeches. And same way if you get into another speaking situation. Everything is based on time. So you can't overspeak. You can't go over your time. That may have been someone else's time. That may have been a different event. People might want to leave. And for the most part, you need to honor that time constraint. And also think about your setting and maybe why your audience is gathered there. What's the purpose of your audience gathering together?